Yeah, the pyramids in Egypt aren't going anywhere, obviously. Aaron Rodgers, he should have been at practice. How soon do you think the Jets will regret getting into the Aaron Rodgers business?
I mean, midway through this year, when they realized that they put everything about their franchise in this guy's hands, and football's just one of his interests. And in general, that can work and that can be okay, but it can't work for quarterback savior when it's just. And I thought he handled that press conference fine. I thought he was uncharacteristically honest. And so I'll give him credit for that. But it was telling when he was like, listen, I had a choice to make and I chose the other thing. But if I were a Jet fan, thank God I'm not. Here is the thing that I would be most unnerved by. The t-shirt he wore going into training camp. Did you see it, DeMonze? So he wore, okay, we've got it right there. This is an Egyptian cat. It's a little, it's just, if you do Getty image Egyptian cat, that's what comes up.
No, that's
so
annoying.
Here's why, right. It's just a little reminder needle of who's in charge. It is an odd choice in my opinion. And I know folks think I'm too hard on Aaron, and I don't even know if we spent time on this show when he did the thing on Pardon My Take, when he was like, well, there's, words are funny things, they mean different things, trying to change the definition of mandatory, which was such an odd choice to make when, mandatory just, words do mean certain things, and mandatory means mandatory, obligatory. You've got, and so that part I didn't love, but he is operating as if he is still a superstar. And I don't think he is. We'll see. But I think right now, because a big question I have, or a big question people ask me is, what do I dislike about the Jets? How do I not like their roster? And I think they have an outstanding defensive roster, and I think they have a decent offensive roster. And if it were Madden and we turned all injuries off, I would say their offensive roster is good, because it's not, and you have to bake in injury history with guys. That's why I call it a decent offensive roster, because when a few of your biggest acquisitions are historically consistently injured players, take Rodgers out of it, I'm not going to give you 17 games for those guys, like Tyron Smith and Mike Williams. But my biggest number one concern with the Jets is, I think they have a bottom 5 in the NFL coaching staff. I think that is a fair reading of the situation. I think they have a front office that we have no reason to believe knows what it's doing, as evidenced by the fact that they traded for Hassan Reddick. And the reason so Bryce Hall, I get these two players. One's a run.
Oh, sorry.
Well, there's two. Here's the problem. Bryce is the running back. Bryce is the pass rusher. The problem is they both were on the Jets last
Bryce,
year.
I think, is the running back.
Hold on. I'm going to get this all wrong. Bryce is the running back. That's right. But the guy who signed with the Eagles in the offseason for a bunch of money, Bryce Huff, that's it. So this is what's so confusing. Sorry. Bryce Hall is the running back for the Jets. Am I getting this right? Bryce Hall is the running back for the Jets. Bryce Hall is a corner, I think, for the Bucks. Bryce Huff was a pass rusher for the Jets. It's confusing. I apologize. But now that I have this name right, this story will make more sense. I think both, actually. I think there's actually a Bryce Hall in the NFL and a media personality, neither of whom are relevant to this conversation. Oddly, neither was Breece Hall. I was trying to say Bryce Huff. So the Jets had Bryce Huff as their pass rusher. The Eagles signed him in free agency because Hassan Reddick, who was their designated pass rusher, wanted a contract extension, and they didn't want to give it to him. The Jets then traded for Hassan Reddick, and Hassan Reddick is now holding out of Jets camp the way he was going to hold out of Eagles camp because he doesn't have a contract extension. And the Jets are leaking to, favorable local media. It was a misunderstanding. That's a poorly run team. If you trade for a player and think he's going to report without you giving him a contract extension, and then you don't give him a contract extension and he doesn't report, that's a bad front office. I'm sorry.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.